Abusia Ura JDM Neni Abrepa ne administration where there is a fire on the mountain. Abusia was sending strong message, strong message, a sign warning to all appointees. I don't know what appoint to Abusia JDM wa medi gweri Neni Abre Ankasa. Yehwe video no na wonso kire wadwen efa video no eho.
President, Honorable Chief of Staff, senior officials of the presidency, ministers of state, distinguished invited guests, family and friends, ladies and gentlemen, friends of the media. Our quest to install the leanest and most efficient government in the history of the Fourth Republic continues unabated. We've gathered here again today to take a step closer towards this objective with the swearing in of an additional batch of 14 ministers of state. Since assuming office 3 weeks ago, I've been guided by one desire, and that is only to give the people of Ghana a government that is fit for purpose and is able to work in their best interest. Such a government must therefore naturally have men and women of proven ability and integrity. That's why it is fair to say that the persons who have taken up positions in this government have done so on merit and are well placed to deliver in the respective roles that they have been assigned. We're also guided by the need for fidelity and prudence in governance. Our recent history shows that there is no correlation between a large resource guzzling government and effective delivery. The last 8 years witnessed the largest government in our history, and yet that government achieved arguably the poorest of outcomes. That makes it imperative that we get it right going forward. The task of governing this country must be done more efficiently and at optimal cost. The bulk of our resources must be dedicated to meeting the needs of those on whose behalf we govern. In this regard, we have recalibrated various ministries to avoid the needless duplication and waste that existed. As President, I must set the right example and tone. In addition to substantial cuts in the number of ministries and ministers, there will also be significant reductions in the number of political appointees at the office of the President and its agencies. The era where hundreds of political activists were packed into the presidency for the sake of it is well and truly over. Thus far, 27 people have been nominated for appointment to the presidency to work in various capacities, and this includes the staff at the office of the Vice President. Out of the number, 13, representing 48%, are women. While additional hands will be brought in due course, the numbers will be nowhere near what we saw under the previous government. As I had cause to indicate at the last swearing in of ministers, further attention will be given to increasing the number of women in subsequent appointments so that the promise of 30% women participation overall in government can be realized. Today we swear in regional ministers and sector ministers. To the 8 regional ministers being sworn in today, I urge you to always remember that you represent the central government in your respective regions. You've been chosen for this position because of the leadership qualities you have exhibited over the years. Several of you were regional executive members of the NDC and therefore were the face of the party and our campaign in the just ended elections. This means that you're very conversant with the commitments we made to the people in your regions and are expected to work closely and tirelessly to see those commitments fulfilled. Also being sworn in today are ministers of state for the Interior, Defense, Gender, Children and Social Protection, Lands and Natural Resources, Works and Housing and Water Resources, and Minister of State for Special Initiatives. The Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Honorable Agnes Namomulati. As Gender Minister, you would be immediately confronted with a school feeding program that is riddled with deaths, poor quality food, and chaotic implementation. The social protection sector is generally in distress, and you will have to fashion a way out of these challenges. For the Honorable Minister of the Interior, Honorable Muntaka Mubarak, you will have the responsibility for ensuring internal security in this country, and I know it is a task you will live up to. You will also have the responsibility of improving the welfare of our security agencies, especially in the area of housing and mobility. Dr. Edward Kofi Omane Boama, it will fall on you as Minister for Defense to marshal our resources to defend the territorial integrity of Ghana in the face of new and emerging threats. With the upsurge in terrorist activity in our West African sub-region, you would have to dig deep to lead the effort to counter any such threats to our nation. Honorable Kofi Amabua, as Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, you'll be charged with the duty of safeguarding the environment from marauding galamseyers and managing our natural resources effectively. Let me take this opportunity to state that it shall be the policy of this government to ban the issuance of leases for mining in all forest reserves. We shall also move promptly to revoke all leases issued for the same purpose under the previous government. In addition, let me state categorically that this government has not given any person or group of persons any authority to carry out any form of mining in these forest reserves as recently reported. I urge the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Minister for the Interior, Attorney General and Minister for Justice to take immediate steps to ensure the arrest and prosecution of any persons or group of persons engaged in this illegality. I also need to state here that no member of this government is permitted to engage in any form of small-scale mining or galamsey. Any such persons will face sanctions which shall be swift and severe. We intend to call a stakeholder consultation on the menace of galamsey to forge a broad consensus on the measures we intend to take to preserve our environment from wanton destruction. This will involve, but not limited to, the following: a river guard, which will employ youth from the communities affected by illegal mining, cleaning and eliminating toxic substances from our water bodies, reclaiming mined-out lands, training small-scale miners in sustainable mining practices. We've also begun the establishment of the Gold Board, which will ensure that Ghana gets the full benefit of the bountiful natural resource that God has blessed us with. To Mr. Kennedy, I remind you that you must lead the implementation of our manifesto offerings on social housing. The housing deficit and attendant prohibitive cost of rents and the long number of years that are demanded as rent advance remain some of this country's biggest problem, and you must get to work immediately to address it. With Mr. Emmanuel Ajekum, we will work closely together on the initiatives that we have put before us to achieve for the benefit of the people of Ghana. I have absolute confidence in you all, in your ability to get the job done. Let me also seize this opportunity to remind all of you of the admonition I have given to those who were sworn in earlier. You are in the offices you occupy now with the sole purpose of serving the people of Ghana, who are our employers. You are to accord them the respect at all times, bearing in mind that the power and authority that you exercise stems directly from them. Arrogance and disrespect are not desirable in this government, and you must exhibit humanity and modesty in your interactions with the public. Let me remind you that power is transient, and public office is a revolving door that can see you leave just as quickly as you came in. And let me sound biblical here. Go ye forth and put in your very best effort to help us reset this country and make it the Ghana we all want. I thank you for your attention.